All right, guys. What's going on? Um, as we all know, we're looking at this new MOT update 5.0 details. Uh, honestly, this update's kind of crazy.
A
I, I
lot of
I don't know what to say.
a lot of
Um,
stuff we haven't seen, a lot of drastic changes that are just going to change the meta forever. I still can't even believe it.
oh my God, this is gonna be like a very like this is gonna be a real controversial update for a lot of new players. Like even veteran players. This is gonna be big.
Absolutely.
Um, myself when data miners actually leaked this the day before the update, I was looking at it on paper, and I was like, this shouldn't be that bad. But then like once I really saw like what was going on in game, I was like, wow, this is crazy. So
There's man, it's just at this point I don't even know what build would be recommended. Like this
yeah,
update is just I can't even believe that the data miners are really going to work right now, and
yeah,
we still don't even know much. This is the most ridiculous update I we've ever seen.
yeah, honestly. Um, we all see y'all have seen the thumbnail, y'all saw the title, so we obviously know what's going on, what the main deal is here. Um,
There's a few things that we're gonna get into. We're gonna get into the Campanelli debuff,
mhm.
the overpower, the OP-ness of the new Dean. There's plenty of things that we have to get into. So
Yeah, so let's just like get started on that. If we can look at, let's actually just start by looking at Campanelli before the update. Um,
okay.
so
Mhm.
originally we've actually got his stats up right here on
Mhm.
the page. If we just read off his thing, let's just
His
take a
base
look at his
stats.
stats here.
Hmm.
Yeah, they were pretty good. We had a
Yeah.
300% chance, a 300% increase in intimidation and authority when first appearance, and that's obviously when you just first walk in. That's
Mhm.
that's a pretty strong buff. He was a pretty tough. He was pretty tough when he was first released,
For sure.
and obviously there was a lot of players that really couldn't do anything. We had with that patch when we had Beal removed, that really changed a lot of things. The whole staff, we had new people like just come in. It was just very difficult. The plus
Yeah.
25 speed multiplier when seeing student without hall pass,
And
of course.
I just really quick wanna kind of make it known these kind of stats like. These are very good stats. Even the base stats, like 94 intimidation. When
Yeah.
you see Campanelli walking in, that intimidation really shows. And the authority, the 85 authority, and 76 discipline. The only thing that I would say is a little low is the 68 effectiveness. But regardless, especially for first year, these are
Mhm.
really good starting stats. And I just want to make it known because we're gonna get into some things later that just absolutely uh, put this to shame, but I want everyone to know before we get into that, these are like above average stats. This is not like and especially when you get into these special attributes and items and things like that, and the increase when first appearance and the hall pass conditions and all of that, which we're gonna get into in a second. I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah. So we're looking at these stats here. We looked at the walkie talkie. That was actually pretty good when it first dropped. A lot of people were pretty unaware of this. The 40% buff multiplier. We know that a lot of teachers and staff, they all have this item, but this was just different. When this dropped, new meta kind of was created in a way, but not entirely. It didn't change the game completely. We see here. When walkie-talkies used, all remaining students in area receive plus 40%. All teachers, my fault, receive plus 40 times percent buff intelligence and awareness of all actions made by students. Students receive that minus 67 defense. It's
That's
pretty
that's
tough.
huge. That minus
Yeah,
67% defense can be the difference between getting off scot free and an expulsion. Pretty much.
exactly.
That's huge.
That's true. But we had a lot of veteran players look into this during the first drop. We saw there were lots of ways that we possibly were able to get around this, get to class on time, get get out of school basically with a scotch-free card, and I think we kind of made it out. We did pretty well with this update. Everything was going fine. If we look at his special attributes when performed can inform all staff and teachers to meeting, teachers and staff plus 30% intelligence and authority when in meeting. That's
Yeah.
also pretty good. Um,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. If you consider that all teachers and staff plus 30 intelligence, I know the plus 30% we're usually used to seeing bigger numbers, but when you factor in all teachers, that's
yeah,
that's another that's another big hitter. And Campanelli
was
was really I think one of the best uh drops last year. That this was
yeah,
definitely the big hitter that everyone was talking about. So
of course. Um, but now if we look at after
yeah,
5.0, oh my gosh. We're
ridiculous,
looking at this.
ridiculous.
Yes,
I,
this
I
this
just I
speed.
just want to go over the base stats real quick.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
just gotta
Yeah,
I have to emphasize this. So
go
we
ahead.
started obviously, if you remember in the last slide, we started with a 94, right? You can see on the screen now we're down to 86, -8%, -8% intimidation. That that's a big decrease. It's still a decent stat, but it's a big decrease there. -4% authority from 85 to 81. That is, it's not too much of a loss, but he's losing maybe a couple students, kind of walk by him when he tries to dress code him and things like that. So that's another decrease. And then speed stays the same, all good. Discipline
Mhm.
-4%. Another thing there. Another thing to look at. That could be the difference between a couple students. You know, maybe they're starting to kind of not take his punishments as seriously, things like that. And then the big hitter though, 49 effectiveness -19% is absolutely insane. Because of this new dean, his effectiveness has plummeted completely. It is in the dirt right now. The red. We've never seen a decrease like this in stats after an update. This is insane. The 49 -19% is incredible because of how much that new dean is uh basically kind of overtaking right now. It's completely debuffing Campanelli. He's absolutely nerfed. And then if we look at the the special attributes and then his non-base stats, the plus percentages in different situations, and I'll let you talk about that too.
Yeah. So looking at these special attributes, let's take a look here. When performed, can inform. Okay, yeah. So we've got this 20% intelligence and authority when in meeting. Oh no!
Or
If we
that
look
used to be
back,
30, yeah.
yeah, that's a -10%.
Yep.
That is, yeah. We're looking at the differences between these. Wow. And then that 200% intimidation and authority when it first appearance. That is really good still for
Yeah.
a lot of new students, newcomers to go against this boss, but like at the same time, this is a significant change in what we had before. Um, that plus 25 speed multiply, I don't think that changed, did it? No, it didn't. But that really doesn't matter when everything else really got debuffed,
Yeah,
and
yeah. And I
um
think I think the walkie-talkie also got debuffed, and that this was actually a huge one. This walkie-talkie has actually got nerfed like incredibly. It before, if you saw, it was the all teachers would receive the plus 40 multiplier, right? But now it's
mhm,
just plus 20%, no multiplier anymore. That is
yeah,
huge. Taking out the multiplier is huge. And then also, only all students receive only -45% defense as compared to -67, which is
yeah,
another big hit. And that walkie-talkie has just become so much less powerful than it was. That I remember when
yeah,
that item first dropped, a lot of people were a little bit shaken up. So that's a
mhm.
that's a big thing to see.
Yeah, let's just think about this. Like we were living in a plus 20 times multiplier buff world for a while. Plus 30, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
No, plus 40. What am I
Well,
saying?
yeah, plus 40, yeah.
Yeah, plus 40 multiplier world for a while. And that meant all teachers were actually getting a multiplied plus 40 stats depending on certain situations.
Mhm.
And that was still fairly difficult. Like the difficulty so far for certain people, certain builds, depending on what you chose, could be you could take it the hard way or the easy way depending on who you are. But at
Mhm.
the same time, it was still doable, no matter what happened. If you
Mhm.
had the skills, if you had the ability, if you knew what you were doing, if you believed that you could do this, you can make your way through this. But now with this new update, man, I really don't know. And y'all are thinking probably, man, what are you talking about? Dude got debuffed. That
Yeah.
means that's a win for us. But
Yep.
no, if we look at the
You guys, yeah, you guys don't know what you're in for. Right now, it's looking like, I know a lot of you are behind the screen celebrating right now, seeing this huge Campanelli debuff, thinking that, the assistant principal, one of the main bosses, absolutely debuffed. It's looking good for us right now. But unfortunately, if we if we look at what other updates were made, we can
yeah.
quickly see that there's nothing to be celebrating
Let's
about.
just let's just let's just take a look at this.
Here we go.
So we obviously got a new character. It was revealed by data miners before the update, but on paper this did not look that bad. Um, let's just look at the dean.
This is this
Um,
is this is
base.
incredible.
Let's just read off
I
the stats.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you can just read off those basic stats,
Yeah,
and then
yeah, for sure. So I want to add, obviously we know we're only a few days into this new patch, but um so the aging element, it's had minimal time to impact base stats. As we know, the most powerful non character element in the game, something that the characters can't control, is the aging element, which sometimes does uh, nerf characters quite a bit. So we haven't seen that effect yet on the Dean, as it's like very, very early in the season. But
Mhm.
still, no matter what, if you looked at Campanelli's original stats and compare them to these, oh my god. And like I said, remember earlier in the video, I said that Campanelli stats were very much so above average. If those were
Mhm.
above average, this is ridiculous. Intimidation 100, authority 98, speed 74, discipline 99, effectiveness 93. And that's just the base stats. That is the absolute base minimum. All right? You're walking into this, you're shaking in your boots immediately. The authority is there. You could get caught at any time. The discipline is there. You're facing heavy consequences for acting out of line. The effectiveness 93. Everyone is fearing this Dean right now. This is one of the most ridiculous builds ever. I think this has got to be the most ridiculous update in history because of
Mhm.
how just overpowered this Dean is. And then that's not
Yeah.
even factoring in the first appearance, which you can get into right now.
Um, yeah, this is kind of terrifying. Um, Veterans and newcomers. This is honestly, we none of us were expecting this to happen. Um, let's look at these stats. When first appearance, plus 450 all base stats.
God,
What?
oh my God.
What? We don't even need. You guys are smart. You can do the math. Just look at those. You can pause the video if you want. Just add those to each stat.
Plus
That is insane.
450.
Oh my god.
God. And then the
Special
special
attribute.
attribute.
We're looking at this special call. When used, all teachers and staff gain plus 12%. All staff multiplier depending on meeting time when disciplinary action taken among student. Student receives all base stat reduction 75. Now, let me stop you there for a second. If we look if we look back at if we look back at this, students before Campanelli's update, but if we let's just look at the one now because this is what really matters here. We're still looking at a 45% reduction in defense by Campanelli now. So that's already 45% with all students if you end up in that situation. And then see disciplinary actions taken, we've got to be real careful. We don't want that 75% reduction on
Yep,
us. That'll be, oh my God, that'll be game over for everybody. Um,
absolutely.
so this is why we have to really take these uh, these actions into consideration. We cannot do anything to cause this disciplinary action. But with these new rules, a lot of things could happen. you could really get caught. You can really slip up.
Yep.
This is and don't even newer players. I mean, veteran players. Just take this information with a grain of salt. I know you guys are thinking, "Oh, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I've been playing for a while," but no, these new rules can really get you. Um, and
Absolutely.
especially for newer players as well. Um, and after that 75% with a medium chance of expulsion or suspension, wow. So an extra, that's about like 50% chance of either of these happening. So you better
Yep.
hope that, you're in the clear.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. The this new update, the power creep is just ridiculous.
on,
I can't even I can hardly believe this.
if we can just like, we can scroll down real quick. Let's look at this. Um, Before this 5.0, looking at this tier list, we were living in a pretty balanced like world in this game so far. We had S tier, 12th grade, 10th grade. They were pretty solid, pretty solid. We had
Good builds, good builds.
C tier, ninth grade was actually doing pretty well. That's why we had no F, E's or D's. But at the end of the day, we have to obviously compare them all. We had 11th grade at B, just depending on difficulty. You were taken as more of a veteran, but at the same time, it was, you were going a bit people were going a bit harder on the 11th, I would say.
True. Yeah,
Same with
I would agree.
ninth, which is why they did end up in the C tier before the update. They were just, people were pretty hard on them.
Hmm.
But at the same time, if you were running this build, you did have that novice buff, which is still, I think, remaining after
Yeah.
this 5.0 patch. Um, yeah, 12th grade, 10th grade, pretty strong. But if we look after this patch, there's no more S tiers. And
Yep.
I know you guys are going to get upset because you might have a bias against your favorite. But honestly, dude, it's just
It,
power creep. I really don't know
yeah.
what to say. Power
If
creep.
you
Nothing
yeah
really to say.
yeah let me kind of get into this. Like if you look at the current landscape, if you look at the new meta after this 5.0 patch, and you look at the 12th grade build, like just look at everything, right? You can only the only reason that 12th grade build is A tier is because they have to do the least surviving out of every build. All they have is this 1 year, and then they get that end of year like last 2 weeks buff. It's the leniency buff at the end of the year. So they have that, but in this new landscape, it's still not enough to give them S tier. Usually 12th grade, pencil them in for S tier. Seniors, best build, one of the best builds we've seen. Um, but now not it's not even S tier because of the current landscape, the new meta that we're living in. And then if you look at 11th grade, 11th graders, the 11th grade build in your hardest year. If you're looking to play this build, you're starting, like, keep in mind you're starting in your hardest year, and you have another year to go after this, and you're not even guaranteed an S tier as you normally would be if you're moving on to the senior build if you're prestiging. But right now, I honestly don't even know. And then the 10th grade build as well. 10th grade,
Mm,
you're middle of the pack. That's rough. It's rough. Although
mm,
11th grade is worse because that's in their hardest year, 10th grade is rough. And especially
mm.
because a lot of the 10th graders coming off these easy COVID years, a lot of the younger people coming off these COVID patches, these COVID updates, and we're used to doing the online stuff. This is not looking good. And then the ninth grade has actually moved up to B tier because of that novice buff, that lack of experience, where the teachers give them a little bit of leniency and things like that. But regardless, there's nothing in here that is a guarantee. There's nothing in here that's a guarantee. Everything is it's just rough. It's rough. It's a rough
Yeah.
landscape right now. This new meta is just
Mhm.
kind of set up for everyone to fail, and
Yeah.
people need to start realizing, I think it's time to start thinking about putting your attributes into those drawing and paintings, into those music theories, into those early college. That's the kind of stuff that you're gonna need to squeeze by in this new meta. I
Obviously,
that's
yeah. Yeah, that is a really good point because we do really want those. You do want those. Those are easy. Those are easy. Those are lenient. You get that immediate 50% plus leniency with those
Yeah.
classes. You really want to
Right.
take that into consideration
Yeah. Yeah.
because when
Exactly.
living in this world with all these new patches, all these rules, um some debuffs that really weren't even helpful to us at all. Nothing is really helping us out. So we're gonna really have to take our right foot forward and really be smart about this. Regardless of what build you are, I recommend a lot of these classes, these early colleges, music theory, piano, drawing, and paintings. These are must haves.
Yep.
Um, I would really I would really recommend that each student really take these into consideration because wow,
Absolutely.
you're in for a ride right now. And I know
Yeah.
it's only the second day, so we may get some new smaller updates maybe to improve because obviously there's got to be a way out, you know.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think
And
I think this is to come to a shock. That's what this update. I'm assuming that's what it was for, but I'm not sure
I
yet. We're not sure. We
and
just
I
have to wait, you know.
yeah, 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 absolutely. And I think like I don't know, I think there's still some people out there who are probably like, oh well, like these guys are exaggerating this and that, but it's just like look at the meta, right? Look at the meta. We had several several teachers who actually had to leave. They could not survive in the current meta. They were removed from the game. They could not survive in the current meta. Even some of the most, we have some names on here, some of the most liked teachers, that give that plus 20% um uh chill teacher addition
That's just
from the
leniency
patch.
boost in
Yeah, that
general.
that leniency boost, exactly. That and we had some big names leave last year, and I don't want to get into it out of respect for the devs and things like that, but oh man, what it was rough. Those of you,
Yeah.
those of you who are senior builds, uh, junior builds, 10th grade, sophomore builds,
Hmm.
some of the big names that were taken off the board, and that's how serious that this
Yeah.
patch was. This is no joke.
Yeah. If we like honestly, a lot of you newer players may think that 20% is not important, but that is really needed for this
Mhm.
for this new update. This could have been a lifesaver for a lot of you guys. If anything, everyone. Um Obviously there's some more experience than others, but honestly, all I can really say is how hard power creep hit this update. This is
Absolutely.
this is really like changing the meta completely. We're in a whole new game basically. Everything changes for everybody. And some may be coming into this as the normalcy. Like they're not they're not used to anything else. Us being used to an old an old world where we had all these teachers, all these staff members, everything is changing. So now we're gonna have to adjust. We're starting basically everybody's starting fresh, it almost seems like, regardless of what build you're using. I would recommend using these top builds just to add the possibility of surviving longer, outliving others, because honestly that's all you can really do right now. Um
Absolutely. And I
let,
think yeah, I
let,
just wanted to move on to the next thing because um they introduced the new update last season with the hall passes, which was,
Mhm,
although it was a shock to most,
mhm,
and it seemed like a not good thing for students, and it did decrease a few stats.
mhm,
What it actually did, uh, as well, was it helped if used correctly, if used properly and
mhm, of
effectively.
course,
It increased reliability and actually decreased decreased teachers and administration and assistant principals um, effectiveness and authority,
of
because
course.
they could not, you have the hall pass. It's almost like a kind of like an immunity card. They
Mhm,
can't, they cannot, not that they can't touch you, but it's a huge help. And as you
yeah.
can see in the photos we have displayed, these kids were taking full advantage. And so
Mhm,
I just want
yeah.
you to get into, with this new meta, how these hall passes, which were items that were helpful, that students were, although annoyed about, it was decreasing teacher stats and people weren't even knowing it.
Yeah.
So just talk about
Honestly,
how they're affected in this new
these
meta.
were these were some crazy success stories here. We see two students with these using them to their max effectiveness, but now, dude, it's just power creep has hit so hard, man. It's just crazy. I
I
can't
can't
believe
believe
this.
it.
This meta is insane. If we look at this, hall passes now have a -50 reliability when student is out of class for 15 plus minutes.
Wow.
Students also receive -30 reduction in all stats for every minute out of class after 15. So that's a
Wow.
multiplier in deduction. We
Wow.
are this is insane. We are basically they're trying to kick us down to zero, dude. I really
Incredible.
don't
Yeah.
know what
I
we're gonna do about this.
it's just like it's jaw dropping. It's you
Mhm,
can't even believe it. This almost, this almost cancels out the Campanelli debuff because
mhm,
it's like, yeah, Campanelli got debuffed, but so did the Hall Pass.
yeah,
The one item that was dropped in the game that could
mhm,
give students any sort of kind of freedom from
mhm,
assurance that they're not
mhm,
going to they're not going to get dress coded, get written up, whatever, like the teachers, they couldn't say anything there, because of the authority stats going down and the intimidation going down, the effectiveness going down, because they
mhm,
see that hall pass item. They're like, well, this prevents us from doing anything. There's nothing we can't. They're in the halls. They got a pass. They're allowed to be there. There's nothing you can do there. But
mhm.
now, 15 after 15 plus minutes, minus 50% reliability, just
Yeah.
man, just unbelievable. And I truly wish the best for you guys out there, no matter what build you are.
Mhm,
I know we're being hit hard by this, and
mhm.
all I can do is to wish the best as we. I think we should transition into these final items, classes, and
Yeah.
stats to
On
kind of close up this 5.0 patch.
Yeah, honestly, like I remember before this patch, I would say it was a few months before, when we first saw this downtime coming, for the update. Everybody was pretty excited. I would see some pretty insane runs by a lot of students who used the hall pass. A lot of people didn't know its reliability. Hall pass was Hall was actually pretty good in meta before then. A lot of students love to run this item when going through. But now I'm not sure if it'll be useful if you're really trying to get out there for that 15 plus minutes, because before then we all knew the average time would be around 20 to 25 depending on what you were doing. If you had to use the bathroom for that plus 50 protection just to run back to class, that's fine. You can still use this hall pass. It'll still be usable. But for those students that may just may need to go somewhere important, may need to do something, may need to get away, that may need to enter the hall with these new buffs to the teachers, the staff, everyone. This is going to be real difficult for you guys.
No
Um,
doubt, no doubt
this
about it.
this hall pass is just like something. It got hit hard, and
Yeah,
honestly, it was a buff for the students knowing that the Campanelia update really hit after everything, and we weren't sure how to do it. But this was the thing that was getting us through. So hopefully, like I said, maybe we can get something like that eventually later on in this season. But we're not sure yet because we still have 4 to get through. So it's only day 2. Let's see what we're going with. And if we
yeah,
look at these items and these classes and stats, we already went through the hall pass, and I'm gonna let you look at the nurse's pass, which can be possibly used for this meta, but we're not sure yet entirely because, like I said, power creep hit too hard. There's no new real items out currently, so if anything new comes, we'll let you guys know, obviously. But the nurse's pass is it's an old item. It wasn't used as much when hall pass dropped, obviously, because I mean, it was still kind of used a good amount, but Hall Pass was really there to help you out. So
yeah, for sure.
yeah, so I'm gonna let you look at the nurse's pass. Um, if we look also real quick at these classes as well, this is something
Yeah.
that you want to look into.
So
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
we right now, We do not have enough data. We were, the data miners are still going hard at it. They have the hardest. This is the hardest season ever for them to figure out new information and new drops, new items, what classes you should be running, what builds are
Mhm.
optimal. And
Mhm.
as we mentioned earlier, what you do, because it's almost always a guarantee.
Yeah.
Those music theories, those drawing and paintings, those early colleges are almost always, pencil and guarantee. And that's just what we
Yeah.
know from the past. But honestly,
Mhm.
and that's why we're suggesting it. But honestly, with this new meta, who knows? Maybe those can be ruled out.
Mhm.
We did see some big, Spanish 4 was almost a pencil, and it's like, okay, if you want a class, a lot of senior builds, super popular with the senior builds, putting attributes into Spanish 4, but uh, Spanish 4 took a big hit this year. Took a big hit. As you know, with this new meta, there were some teachers that could not survive, just
Mhm.
could not inhabit this new meta. And now, um, the majority of those, including me, a majority of those senior builds that decided to put their attributes into Spanish 4 are being hit hard.
Mhm.
It affected incredibly. And that's I assume the same thing is for incoming prestiging junior builds and prestiging 10th grade sophomore builds. So
Yeah.
we can't really
Um.
say anything for classes outside of the norm, which most people would assume, those music theories, drawing and painting, early college, things like that. But anything outside of that, any traditional classes, we're really not sure. You're really looking
Yeah.
at just getting lucky with those electives at this point.
Mhm. And we can look at these classes, we knowing the risks and obviously the minor advantages. We did see a plus about plus 10% in minutes on our advisories. So maybe that was their minor way of like saying, here's something you can work with. But right now, that's at the end of the day, and that's if anyone is really able to survive till the end of the day for this long. We still have 200 plus days of the season to go on with. Um, if we do look, the nurses pass did get somewhat of a buff and a debuff at the same time. That plus 45% leeway when walking through halls for all students is really good. But yeah, this is only when shown to teachers and staff in hallway. But at the same time, there's a lot of students. This goes for a lot of you newbies right now. Don't throw the hall pass away once you get it. Once you're in the hallways, don't think it's home free because once we've got all these teachers in the hallways now, you're going to be asking for them, and you don't have it, you're screwed. So we make sure to keep that on hand on your person. So that causes minus 50 authority, which is really good
Right.
from
Hmm.
but at the same time when walked into nurse's room, you get that 50% increase as well in all stats, which is very good, and that plus 5 multiplier for every 5 minutes spent in a nurse's office. Now take this information as well with a grain of salt, because we know now with this new meta, this power creep that hit us, we know that 15 minutes can really be in effect
Right.
depending on what class you're in, what teacher you have. And this is the nurse, so you are pretty good. You've got the leeway buff, but at the same time, depending on what teacher you have, what class you have, this can really be a nuisance for some. Excuse me.
Absolutely.
um we do look at these freshman buffs. They did get the plus 20 leeway when in halls and late for class, so
Yeah.
this this kind of goes for freshmen all year around, I would
The
say.
novice buff, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that novice buff is really helpful. That 20%, but at the same time, that's another 20% that you may need. You may have that 20%, but that's only 20% of that 100% that you may need to really get through the year. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
this can be helpful. Mixing this possibly with nurses pass, or maybe if you do use hall pass, be careful. But if you can use it effectively within those 15 minutes, you might be home free. I'm not sure. Nobody's really brave enough to try it yet. Um, Looking at this attendance buff, when students first enter class, attendance taken and dress code checked 100. Oh, I didn't look
That's
at this yet. I didn't look at this yet.
yeah.
Wow. 100% of the
Unbelievable.
time. That means when walking in class, teachers will automatically check your dress code. Now, last update in the meta before, it was really it was really it was really complicated due to a lot of downtime, a lot of bugs that we had going on, the COVID update, everything.
Yeah.
We That leeway buff was really boosted for all students, regardless of who you were, what build you were using.
Right.
Um, you obviously could still get caught. We had a lot of players last year, some big names that actually really went with this and really took it to the next level. Um, we've obviously seen a lot of those, but nowadays we don't really see much of that at all anymore. And obviously that out of dress code buff obviously gave students that plus 15 reliability, that comfortableness, but now that's just out of the window now.
Yeah.
um so when caught out of dress code, minus 46% confidence and receives a warning once received. 5 warnings, minus 75% all stats and high chance of punishment.
Wow.
Yeah,
This is a huge buff that honestly I wouldn't be surprised if it gets overlooked because so many people are worried about the ridiculous Dean base stats. But yeah,
mm-hmm,
this buff, don't sleep on this buff. I suggest no matter what build you are,
mm-hmm,
absolutely play it safe,
yeah,
especially so early on. Absolutely
for
play it safe because like I mentioned, sometimes that aging element
mm-hmm,
can impact teachers' base stats. So
yeah,
we'll have to wait for that, and
mm-hmm,
it can also impact the leniency. It could debuff. Sorry, I mean it could buff leniency, and debuff things like effectiveness and
mm-hmm,
discipline.
yeah,
So but right now, this is not something to be played with. This buff is one of the most lethal in the game right
yeah,
now. This new meta, this power creep is
mm-hmm,
absolutely just hitting everyone. I don't care what build
yeah,
you are. Everyone has to unfortunately watch their back right now, and I think a lot of sophomore and junior builds are falling into this thing. Like I mentioned,
mm-hmm,
they had the easy COVID years, and they're not really used to, things like this.
mm-hmm,
I think the seniors and the freshmen have a bit of an advantage, and that's why, we saw them in the higher tiers on that
mm-hmm,
tier list because the freshmen are not really sure what they're walking into, so they're more likely to
yeah,
be kind of accepting of the rules, and also they do have that novice leeway buff. So
yeah,
um
and
and then seniors, sorry, the seniors
yeah,
have the experience on their side. They have
yeah,
that experience stats, very very helpful, knowledge very helpful. So
mm,
they've been here. The seniors have been here. They've been prestiging since ninth grade. And ninth
yeah,
grade, if you remember, the majority of ninth grade, or about half of ninth grade, did not it occurred before that COVID update, before that
mm-hmm,
huge downtime and the COVID patch and update and all that took several years away,
mm-hmm,
several seasons up. It did not go away for a
yeah,
while. So they know what it was like before that COVID patch, which a lot of these sophomore junior builds were not aware of. They kind of just became used to that COVID patch and that meta that we were living in. So
mm-hmm,
now with this new update, with this new patch, this 5.0 update, they are trying to push back and kind of just not accept this
yeah,
stuff. But there's a time and place for that. Believe me, as a senior build myself, there's a time and place for that. But
mm-hmm,
now is not the time, especially this early
yeah,
on in the season. You kind of just have to ride it out for a little
mm-hmm,
bit before let the data miners do their work. Let the
yeah,
data miners do their work. Let the experienced veteran builds kind of figure things out. Let's see, expect the dean, like let's look at all of this before we try and do anything. So just my suggestion with a lot of these incredible, these just ridiculous buffs, don't push, don't push hard, don't push the rules. All right, stay in your lane,
Mhm.
keep dress code, all that. If you want to survive, you got to do those things for now.
Mhm.
But they can change later on. But we're just saying, if you want the most honest opinion and most valuable advice to survive in this meta, I think that's what I would say.
Yeah, and all of this is just all information we all need to know. Um,
Absolutely.
I really don't want you guys to overlook these attendance buffs and these 15-minute new patches and everything, because these are things that a lot of people will overlook. They may come into school and keep their jacket on, and they may
Right.
get that attendance effect done to them,
Yeah.
or they
Yeah.
may be a few minutes late to class, and they may not realize that all of these actions, all of these moments are taken into consideration now and are marked immediately.
Yep.
So we want to keep that up, as well as remembering just to keep the obvious things up, like grades, work,
Yep.
all
Yep.
things like that.
Completing your
So
missions. That's right.
exactly. So all students really just want to keep into consideration what they're doing. Honestly, I just wish all you guys the best of luck.
Yeah.
We're really just gonna let the data miners do what they got to do.
Yep.
We're gonna
Yep.
wait for some further updates, and
This is yeah.
obviously we're gonna cover it when anything
Yeah.
new drops. But right now,
Absolutely.
we're just gonna have to run with this.
We're gonna
Um, we,
run with this.
we
Yeah. Just kind of navigate through the power creep.
yeah,
I think the main thing, the main takeaway here is power creep, power creep, power creep. That is the main takeaway from this new information.
yeah,
Data miners did everything they could for us so far, and we're lucky to even have this information, because if we didn't, oh man, I think it would be a lot worse.
yeah,
We wouldn't know about these buffs. We wouldn't know how strong this Dean is. We would not have even known about the Campanelli Dean buff or debuff. A lot of the nerfs, everything. So just
yeah.
yeah, my final words would be stay safe. Um, you know, uh, keep up with your missions. Uh, be aware of your small bits of leeway. Take advantage of your build's advantages and pros, but
Mhm.
don't take too much advantage and don't take too much leniency, because it can come back to bite you, especially hard this season.
Of course. So yeah, guys, just stay safe. Really keep everything we said into consideration. There's not really much more to go over. I hope in due time we do get another data download, and that the data miners can look through that, see if we get anything new. But right now, this is what we're working with. So yeah, guys, we'll let you know if anything new comes up. But until then, we're just gonna have to wait. So yeah, we'll see you guys later.
Stay safe
Um,
out there.
yeah, be safe out there, and that's all we can really say. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
See ya.